gotta be before 14th.
Call the meeting of the fiscal court to order. Good morning, everybody. First meeting in November. Time slips away. Cat Daddy, Cat Spears, you're up.
Thank you. If you recall, Mike, I come to you about the 80-20 deal that you and I cut about 30 years ago.
Yes, sir.
I voluntarily gave Robert 5% of that because he was crying because the fiscal court didn't give him money. You recall that?
I recall that. I said it's your money, do what you want to with it.
And I did that.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with it. They didn't donate it now. My problem is this. The county took it. I got a problem with that. I never come back and ask you for anything in 30 years. I never asked you for anything.
That's correct.
But our deal was 80-20. It was 80-20 then, I expect it to be 80-20 today. I went to you, I went to my magistrate, my commissioner, I met with every one of them, haven't got an answer. This time's been going on. But I want one. If I ask the question, I deserve an answer.
All right, you've heard the request of Mr. Spears. When he assumed the duties 30, how many years ago, Cat?
30 years ago, Mike.
30 years ago, it was, county would get 20%, Cat get 80%. 80-20. And that never changed as far as I know. I don't know if we had a formal agreement in writing, but the court hired you at the 80-20.
In fact, we just had a gentleman's agreement, Mike.
Yeah. Then you asked me, is it all right to give Robert 5% of your money? I said, your money, do what you want to with it.
We went to Joe Williams, he kind of treasured the time.
Right, exactly. All right, then you have a problem with going back to the 80-20? That's what the original agreement was.
I don't, do you need a motion?
Yes, I will.
I'd make a motion that we make good on the contract basically that we have with it.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Mr. King?
Judge, wait a minute.
Hold on,
I'm
hold
sorry.
on a minute.
Could we just put that in writing though, so in the future we have an agreement in writing? Because I think that we just need to have that on the record, that that's our agreement in the event that you've got a different court that you're dealing with or something. We've got a record that reflects that that's the agreement that we have with you. I think that would probably be.
Is that what you're saying?
Well, it'll reflect in the court minutes, but, Mr. Assistant County Attorney, could you draft something to that effect?
Yeah.
So Cat and I can sign it. No, yeah, we can do
Thank
that.
you.
No problem. Tim?
I'm just here representing Benton Main Street. I'm not on the board, but
Then what are you doing here? Oh, I see. I just wondered, Tim.
we've got an amazing relationship between the city and the county because everything we've ever asked for from the city, Mike says, well, just how can we help? And we appreciate that. Most counties aren't like that. Everybody argues. So I guess I'm here asking you something else. And this year, we've tried to add something every year to the Dickens Festival. And last year, we combined it with the parade. And this year, some people had the ideas that we light all the buildings on the court square, just along the roof line. And so the businesses are contributing $100 a piece to light their building, no matter what size it is. And then Benton Main Street is going to purchase the lights. They're all LED C9 bulbs, and so they don't draw very much power. And we were coming this morning to see, and if the court doesn't wish to, that's fine, because we'll wind up doing it anyway. We'll purchase them through Benton Main Street. If the court would buy the lights for the courthouse. And the city employees are going to help put them up, and Wendy even said we might could ask if maybe we could get some county employees to help, at least here. So that's what I'm here for this morning, is to see. And we sort of calculated how much it would cost, and since we're buying them in such a quantity, the bulbs are a lot less than they would be if you buy them individually. So we thought if we could buy them all together, we could get a better price. Yeah. And probably for the entire courthouse along the roof line, we're talking like $400.
You heard the request of Mr. King. What's your pleasure?
Make a motion, Judge.
We have a motion, and we participate with Main Street Contribute $400 to the lighting for the Dickens Christmas and the Christmas season. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you, Tim.
Before you go on, let me ask Tim, when is that? When is that gonna be?
The festival is December the 14th. On Saturday.
Gotta
Oh,
get
we're
all
gonna
my
have a
ducks
parade
in a row.
again this year, Tim? Gonna have a parade again the same time. Worked out well last year.
Yeah, great, and the lighting is actually the 18th of this month, because I
Okay.
think some of y'all are gonna be out of town, and the county's helped us so much. We didn't want everybody here to be out of town and us have the lighting, and,
Russell, can some of your guys with their bucket truck help, you think? Okay.
Will you need a check made out to the Benton Main Street?
getting Main Street.
Our ambulance director, Mr. Brian Cutsinger, is here. Brian?
Thank you, Judge. Back in July, the ambulance service filled out a joint application with Murray Callaway County EMS. It was a grant application for the Kentucky Office of Homeland Security. We were fortunate enough to be awarded part of what we asked for. We were requesting 6 power stretchers, 4 for us and 2 for Murray. We were awarded, the application, the amount was for like $100,000, which that was kind of a long shot. I knew we weren't gonna get that. But we were awarded some money. We were awarded $19,000 from the Office of Homeland Security. One stretcher costs $11,000, or it's $11,213.33 for one stretcher. So the $19,000 gives us enough money to purchase one stretcher and part of another one. And what I can do is.
How are you gonna handle part of another stretcher? You lost me there. I just,
Well, it was funny because I called the Office of Homeland Security and asked them how a joint application was funded one stretcher. I asked them if we were supposed to share it, if we had joint custody of it, how are we supposed to do that? And she said, well, I never really thought of that. Well, that's.
They don't have much of a sense of humor.
Sounds like, so we have enough money to buy one stretcher and part of another one. What I would like for the court to consider would be for us to use the $19,000 to purchase one and use the remaining funds to purchase part of another one. I can use funds that have been budgeted in our equipment fund to
finish out?
To finish out the 2 stretchers. The problem is with the 3rd stretcher, because we run 3 trucks 24/7 in Marshall County. So purchasing 2 stretchers would put them on 2 trucks, but we have 3 trucks, so we're kind of if we only purchase 2, we'd only have 2 stretchers for 3 trucks. And then like I said, we have budgeted money in our equipment fund, but if we were to purchase the 3rd stretcher out of our equipment fund, that would leave me with like $1,000 for the rest of the fiscal year, which is not a whole lot, considering that if something were to tear up like a splint or some sort of splint, or I know monitor cables for a heart monitor are $500 a piece. So $1,000 could be spent pretty quickly. So my request today is to ask the court for their consideration in purchasing a 3rd stretcher for the ambulance service.
and kind of explain to them, this saves some backs, right?
Sure, yeah, these power stretchers, for those of you who don't know what they are, they're battery operated hydraulic stretchers, and they have a 700-pound lift capacity, so meaning that whenever we pick a patient up and get the patient on the stretcher, all we essentially have to do is have the 2 people kind of monitor and make sure that, that it's not gonna tip over or anything, but you push a button on it and it lifts up to 700 pounds. So therefore, that takes part of the lifting out of the equation on the EMS workers, which if you look at studies and whatnot, back injuries and musculoskeletal injuries are pretty common among first responders, firemen, EMS, police. So these stretchers here would definitely be a tremendous asset for us and could potentially reduce injuries to our workers, because we do see a lot of those. They're pretty common. I mean, they've been around for several years, and it's just one of the areas that we're kind of lacking in, because I know pretty much every agency around us has them, and all throughout the state as well. So this would be the $19,000 would be a really good jump start on a project that, if we just got a quote for all 3 of them together, would be $33,640. So like I said, the $19,000 is a good start.
What's your bottom line dollar you're asking from us, Brian?
Well, the 3rd stretcher would be $11,213.33.
Okay.
Well, I know there's been situations where we have had actually called out fire department personnel to help with
We
move
do that all
patients.
the time.
That's happened
'Cause,
more than once.
it's a sad fact, but you see it all the time in the news. people are just getting bigger nowadays.
Yeah,
And,
honestly.
and the company that makes these stretchers, they've actually got a thing now, which is really expensive, but it actually mounts in the back of the truck and it picks the stretcher up for you once you get up to the truck. So after you put the patient on the stretcher, basically you don't have to lift anymore. You push the button, it lifts it up, you move it over to the truck, put it on that piece of equipment, and it automatically picks it up and puts it in the truck. So there's a lot of research going into stuff like that, so this would be kind of a, like I said, this is a good jump start for us, I feel like, to be able to kind of move forward in that area.
Okay. You've heard the request, Brian?
He say he has the money in his budget to purchase that now?
No, he has enough with the grant and with what he's got to purchase two. We have 3 ambulances.
I thought he said he had $1,000 left.
He would have $1,000 left if he purchases 3 with the 33,000.
He would just deplete his
Yeah, it would
funds, what he's
deplete it.
saying. So he's asking that we could appropriate the money for that third one.
Yeah. I told Brian my recommendation would probably be, so he doesn't have to come back and ask if he has something small, issues happen, if he has a splint break or a monitor cable, that we, transfer, say, $5,000 or something like that from reserves into their equipment budget, and that would still leave him about $6,000 for
Smaller
needs throughout
things.
the rest of the year. And if something larger than that comes up.
So what are we
he's gonna
gonna
bring
do?
it to
Just,
you
we're gonna
anyway.
appropriate more funds for the equipment fund, or
For
we're
that
gonna
one,
purchase
for that,
a
yeah,
stretcher?
for that one stretcher. 11,000,
$213.
Well, I'm
and
confused
33
then. I thought Emily said was gonna transfer $5,000 into the equipment fund, him go ahead and buy his stretcher. Which is it?
He is
can finish
either
out
way,
the second.
either way. If we can transfer 11, and that will pay for the whole stretcher. Or we
Right.
can just transfer a little less than that, say $5,000 is my recommendation. That still gives him flexibility throughout the year.
Well, I mean, we're gonna support him if he needs to be
Yeah.
supported, but he has the money in his account now to pay for these things.
But if he uses it all, he goes down to $1,000,
Right.
which is
We
all
just
he'll
didn't want him
have.
to have to come back to request for
Every time he
something
gets
So
small.
a
would
splinter.
5,000 be enough to?
Do you have,
to
Yeah,
transfer?
and that's kind of what I was saying a while ago, is $1,000, I mean, we could purchase them, but I would hate to have to come back to the court every time to ask for $500 to buy a monitor cable.
Right.
Because like I said, one monitor cable, it's around $500 or $600, so that would take my 1,000 in half there.
do you have an idea how much more you'd need for this fiscal year to carry you through? No way to know?
I mean, $5,000 would be probably sufficient, and,
Depending on breakdowns, depending on a lot of
And
things.
that's the big thing, is I can't really give you a number, because I don't know when, if something's gonna tear up, when a monitor's gonna quit working, when, it's just
Judge, I
kinda
make
left
a
up to
motion, we
chance.
get in the $5,000. If he needs more, then he can come back and
if we
ask.
need
We'll-
to have a large,
All right, we have a
outlay.
motion on the floor by Commissioner Anderson. There's a second, Gold, did you
Second.
second that by Commissioner Gold? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Judge.
Let's move into correspondence. Oh, before that, on the 18th of November, at 4:15, will be the lighting of the greens. Is that at City Hall and here, is that correct? So mark your calendar, November the 18th at 4:15. Let's move into correspondence. Mr. Jason Darnell, our Assistant County Attorney, has been in contact with Marty Johnson, the counsel for the city of Benton, and Greg Northcott, counsel for the city of Calvert City. Jason also acts on behalf of the city of Hardin, as well as our assistant county attorney. So on October 17th, Greg Northcott and Marty Johnson and I met to discuss the proposed new animal control ordinance. During our discussion, it became apparent that we were in need of further guidance on what is being asked of us regarding enforcement mechanisms. Specifically, we would like answers to the following questions. Is the fiscal court requesting the establishment of an enforcement board to hear cases involving the administration of civil penalties? Number two, if so, who would be serving on this board? How many persons would be on the board? And will the persons on the board be entitled to compensation for their service, and if so, how much? Number three, for what designated purpose will collected fine money be used? Once we better understand exactly what kind of enforcement mechanism is being contemplated, we will be much better equipped to present the fiscal court and all three cities a proposal to consider. Now, civil penalties normally are collected in district court, circuit court.
No, they would be collected by the enforcement board if that was
I
established.
understand, but we don't have an enforcement board.
Right.
What is being done now? It goes to district court,
Well, if there's,
animal
if there's
cruelty
a,
cases, or,
right, it would be fine money, just like a speeding ticket or anything else, and it would go to the general fund, state.
okay. This is something, I tell you what, did all y'all get copies of this? Let me get you all copies of this, and let's think about it till the next meeting, and maybe meet, talk about it between then, if so, or at least at the next meeting, to give you opportunities to think about this. Will that be all right?
That works for me. I
We'll
mean,
table.
we've talked about it. It's a little controversial, I know, but for example, we've got an issue, I think Dennis is here. We just had an issue and we've got a vet bill that we just signed for $500 and really no way to enforce other than having Jeff try to recoup that through, some sort of enforcement through the court. But if we had a board like this, it would be a little bit easier to, recoup those costs that we're incurring on some of these animal cruelty or investigations that animal control is taking part in right now. Not saying I'm completely in favor of it, I'm just saying it's a good example of what we're gonna be looking at giving up if we don't create some way to keep those funds here in the county.
Okay. I'll have copies for each of you, and could I get a motion to table that?
Make a
until-
motion to table, Judge.
till the next meeting, motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. From Gene Kaiser, you've heard our ambulance director say we were given $19,000 for the stretchers, and we'll add to that to get 3 stretchers. Also from the Office of Homeland Security, your application for FY 213 State Homeland Security Grant Program funding cycle has been received, reviewed, and analyzed by our grant team and management. Unfortunately, it could not be approved for this year. This is for the North Marshall Generator Project. We had applied for that and was hopeful if we get that, we will apply again in the next round of funding. From Marty Johnson, and I've shared this with Josh, and just to make you aware, the attorney that represents the Huntington National Bank in Fleetwood's bankruptcy in California has advised us that the attorney representing the liquidation trustee has been replaced, and she is not certain we can get a quitclaim deed to Fleetwood's plant site in Benton. I suggested she return the $10,000 the city and county sent to her and initiate an action to foreclose the mortgage lien that secures those industrial bonds the city, county industrial revenue authority received for Fleetwood. I'm not sure how the Huntington Bank will proceed, but we should receive the $10,000 that we advanced for the quitclaim deed before the end of this month. Man, we've been fighting this thing for years, and every time I think we're close, something else props up. Anyway,
We need to get control of that property at some point, if there's any way we can.
I agree.
We're gonna market it.
We have received those funds.
We have received,
Oh, we have, okay, good.
and they're split between us two.
Yeah, it's 5,000.
Okay. From Department of Finance and Administration, please be advised that a number of tenant agencies have recently advised our office that they are unable to obtain replacement lamps for T12 type light fixtures installed in leased properties. It's our understanding the lamps suitable for use with T12 type fixtures are no longer manufactured. And since our standard lease agreements typically require the adequate lighting is provided, replacement of ballast or fixtures is considered a maintenance issue that would be the property owner's responsibility. I've checked with our people. We are in full compliance on this matter. We talked to Mr. Jones to make sure our new buildings were in compliance. They were, so evidently that won't affect us. From MediaCom, as part of our agreement with Disney and ABC, Fusion will replace ABC News Now on your channel lineup on or about October 28th, 1913. Fusion is a news, information, and lifestyle network. Fusion will be part of the Digital Plus package and be displayed on channel 125. This is from MediaCom, and they give a number. I had a complaint the other day, and I called, and there's no local number. Is it Iowa? We got hold of somebody in Iowa?
I don't know, I had complaints as well. They had several outages, I think, and they were asking what we could do as a fiscal court to try to
Well, unfortunately, there's
be
nothing.
with MediaCom to,
We can beg them, but this lady was I was just asking for a line extension, so that these people could get service. They were not satisfied with whatever they had, and they were within a quarter of a mile, I guess. They said under no circumstances would they consider that.
Those are the answers I seem to always get.
Yeah, so, the problem is, when the federal government deregulated the cable industry, it empowered us, or it just made us powerless. All we can do is renew the franchise or change if we can get somebody else to bid it. And we have not had but one bidder in the last, I don't know, well, since Mr. Phillips sold out his company years ago.
Judge, would it be possible to have our local rep come in and just maybe answer some of these questions that people are
Well, I
asking
would,
of
but if
us?
Dale Haney's not here anymore. Dale Haney's now working with FLW, I think. See, Dale was always my local contact.
Right, mine too.
I had his cell number, but he's no longer with the company. So unless they could give us somebody, Misty, that we could, I mean, they've got an office down here, but did you not find a number for the local office mail? It wasn't in the book, so.
I didn't find it, and it took me about 10 minutes to
Could you
get
get us
through
number
the
eight?
right person.
I can get you another.
At least
Can-
maybe they could just come and talk to us.
Who?
Jones and Julio.
That's not a hard one. I believe I know. Well, we'd like to just try to get that number and see if we can have a meeting with him.
Yeah, that'd be great. That way at
You
least
know,
we
just
would
to tell
express
him
those
our-
concerns.
At least let him know our frustrations, okay? All right, from Jim Adams, y'all remember Jim from Muscle Shoals, Alabama. TVA appreciates Marshall County working with us over the past year concerning Big Bear Park on Kentucky Reservoir. I think the discussions concerning cost, easement, term, and other issues have been beneficial and helpful. As a result of our discussions, we want to make two changes as to how we offer to process your request for a public recreation easement. First, we offer to process your easement request for Big Bear Park for a fixed administrative cost of $6,700. This amount does not include the cost of public notice or the comparative market analysis, which the county will pay directly. Now, I don't know what that means. Josh, do we need to bring in a high-powered consultant to tell us that, what we need to do? I mean, what are they talking about?
I have no idea. I've sent an email to Jeff and let him know, he had.
I think that is a good project for the Marshall County Tourism Commission to take on, to do a comparative analysis.
I will add to the amount of money I'm going to be asking for in just a few minutes.
All right. It also assumes the boundaries shown in the previous easement and the use of the property for public recreation are not changing. Granting the easement will be subject to approval by TVA's Chief Executive Officer. Second, and this is something that is good, we offer an easement term for public recreation that can be extended up to a maximum of 60 total years. This should allow the county greater flexibility regarding grant funding. Although the easement is not permanent, it would allow public recreation easements to be extended up to 60 years from the initial date of the easement. The extension would be handled at the staff level after a review of the site for compliance and would typically take only a couple of weeks. Also, if there are no other changes than to extend the easement, TVA would not change any administrative cost. The easement itself could only extend 30 years into the future at any given time, but could be extended multiple times with a letter, so long as the 60-year maximum was not exceeded. Again, I want to say TVA appreciates the relationship we have with Marshall County and for the many recreation opportunities you provide to the public on Kentucky Reservoir. If you have any questions about the cost of the application, contact Nick Morris. So I'm assuming what this means is we give them 6,700, and then they'll have to tell me what they mean by comparative market analysis. I'm just not sure about that.
Well, they talked about, and when they gave us presentation, that, you know, in order to reduce costs, that we could pay directly for, like, the advertisement for the hearing. If they had a public hearing, we could do that.
But they mentioned no public hearing in this letter.
No, and I don't remember this analysis, I don't remember the market analysis being mentioned.
Well, I would suggest we go ahead and put it in the record that we will pay the $6,700, and then I will try to call Jim Adams and see what he's talking about on this other. It may be just a simple thing about putting in the paper or whatever, or sitting down with Randy, and because we don't really have a count on people that use Bear Creek or our other facilities. However, go down there any day in the spring of the year, the parking lot's full. The summer, the picnic shelter is full. But other than that, I don't know how we would count or do a market analysis. I'm not sure.
Judge, he's gonna be in Bowling Green at a conference I'm going to next Tuesday.
If you don't care, ask him that question, Randy.
Write down what you're gonna be asked.
Okay.
I'll take it.
It's just on that, I'll just make you a copy of this and tell him there's two issues we're not sure of. All right, do I hear a motion we pay the 6,700?
Make a motion, Judge.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Well, can I have a question first? Is that, we approved 5,000 already, is that?
Yes.
This is in lieu of that?
This is, yeah, they said, remember they said between 5,000 and 7,500. And we said 5,000. So I guess they've compromised in between there, I don't know.
Okay, all right.
You won't want payment for that though until we have documentation to sign and things
Right,
like that.
we'll have to get all, they'll have to send us everything.
And we need to understand the market analysis
Yeah.
questions too before we pay.
Yeah. But just to get it in the record, we have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. All right, is there any other correspondence coming before the court? Let's move into old business. You have the minutes of the October 15 meeting, minutes of the October 23rd meeting, and the minutes of the October 25th meeting. Those were two-call special meetings in regard to the animal shelter. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion approved, Judge.
I have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. I've given you all receipts, copies of the animal shelter receipt procedure that Emily had put together for us. I asked you to look at that. Do y'all have any problems with that and how we proceed? Looks like it's pretty good to me.
I thought it looked like a good plan.
All right, do I hear a motion that we accept the receipt procedures for the animal shelter?
Make a motion.
I have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Our next is the second reading of ordinance 2013-09. Are you gonna handle that, or do you want me to handle it?
Is that the,
Yes, that's there. I think you need to read the whole thing, but this is for our project out at what I call the Baptist camp. It's now called Crossings Ministries. Originally, the Baptist camp out on Jonathan Creek, they're expanding and just having more and more people come.
Yes, sir.
And this is out of necessity. Also, they have a ministry also over in Shelby County. And I think my buddy Judge Rothenberg is involved in that one. Rob, he's a good guy. Go ahead.
We get a summary, yeah, we published a summary.
Yes.
Okay, I got it. An ordinance authorizing the issuance of industrial building revenue, refunding and improvement bonds, Series 2013, Kentucky Baptist Assemblies Incorporated project of the County of Marshall, Kentucky, in an agreement aggregate principal amount not to exceed $6 million, the proceeds of which shall be loaned to Kentucky Baptist Assemblies Incorporated to finance and to refinance outstanding obligations originally issued to finance the acquisition, construction, installation, and equipping of facilities suitable for use and furtherance of the educational purposes of Kentucky Baptist Assemblies Incorporated and located within the County of Marshall, Kentucky, and the County of Shelby, Kentucky, providing for the pledge of revenues for the payment of such bonds, authorizing a loan agreement appropriate for the protection and disposition of such revenues and to further secure such bonds, authorizing a bond purchase agreement, tax regulatory agreement, mortgage and assignments, and authorizing other actions in connection with the issuance of such bonds. This ordinance authorizes the issuance of industrial building revenue refunding and improvement bonds, Series 2013, Kentucky Baptist Assemblies Incorporated project. And I think that's just a repeat. Bonds are to be retired from the loan payments to be made by Kentucky Baptist Assemblies Incorporated pursuant to a loan agreement and pursuant to sections 103-200 and 103-285 of the Kentucky Revised Statutes. The bonds do not constitute an indebtedness of the County of Marshall, Kentucky within the meaning of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Kentucky.
All right, you heard the second reading of ordinance 2013-09. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve, second by Commissioner Anderson. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. I'm sure your council will be getting with us to sign documents and about that thick, so give me a little notice when you're coming so I can get my hand ready, okay?
We'll do that. Thank you very much.
You bet.
For timing, it should be probably the middle of next week, early middle of next week.
All right, very good. Okay. Thank you much. If y'all need to be about your other business, we understand. Dennis, while you're here, just real quickly, Dennis is our project manager, his firm on the health department revisions and doing what we have to do to meet seismic standards and ADA standards. We are proceeding according to plan and still on target. Hopefully we'll beat the target, but
Weather have a lot to do with that.
yeah.
We've got 6 of the 8 required openings out in place in Factor Lane Brick today to start closing those in. We've got the steel in now. It goes up at the top of these new shear walls, the masonry constructed walls. The weather dependency, obviously, we can protect what we've opened, but we've got some insulation that has to be spray applied today. That's weather dependent.
Yeah.
We can't spray that. That has to be sprayed on these last 2 openings before we finish the brick on the slick back road side. Interior plumbing is complete, roughly, we're ready to do finishes. The big task ahead is the roof, which, just to clear up any rumors, the whole roof's got to come off and the new roof's got to go on. That's part of the design. The plan is to only take off what we can put back and replace in a day's time because of the time of year. So that's also weather dependent there. We're going to go on with finishes. We're going to close up the openings just as rapidly as we can at this point. Hopefully, shortly after the first of the year, weather dependent, we'll be a little closer to telling you a final completion date.
Okay. Thanks.
Any questions other than that? I think the rest are traditional.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other old business? Let's move into new business. I'm gonna skip over the first one because that's personnel related and want to have an executive session to talk about that. The Marshall County Extension Board nominations, the Marshall County Extension Council has nominated the following individuals to serve on the Marshall County Extension District Board. They have 2 members. Since there are only 2 members, terms expiring January 1, please appoint only 2 of these individuals to the district boards. Dahl Blakeney currently serves on the district board in accordance with County Extension Council bylaws change on 4/18/2013. Dahl is eligible for 1 more 3-year term before she will have to sit out for at least 1 year. This change was made to encourage others to step up into extension leadership roles. Their nominations are Diana Engel, Dahl Blakeney, Nick Burrows, and Mary Ellen, and I believe that's pronounced Soucy, S-O-U-C-Y. I don't know her, but probably would know her if I saw her. But those are the 4 nominations. We can pick 2. Dahl Blakeney is serving on the board now and is eligible for another term. What's your pleasure? Don't everybody speak at once.
Who are you appointing?
Well, Dahl Blakeney is eligible for another term, and I see no reason not to.
I'll make a motion to appoint Mr. Blakeney.
I have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Now, you need 1 more, and the applicants are Diana Engel, Nick Burrows, and Mary Ellen Soucy, I believe is her name. The only one I know is Diana Engel, right? So maybe y'all might know one of the others. Then I'd recommend Diana Engel.
That'd be fine. I'd make that motion, then we appoint Diana.
Have a motion to appoint Diana Engel,
Second.
second, Marshall County Extension Council. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Some folks from West Gilbertsville, looks like 3 families, have asked that we either provide door-to-door garbage pickup, which we cannot do, or move a dumpster site closer to Old Gilbertsville. We have turned this over to the Refuge Board to take up at their next regular meeting of the Refuge Board. From the county clerk, Mr. Tim York, we have a bill for the preparation, I guess this is the preparation of tax bills. We split this with the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Our portion is $3,235.65. I need a motion to approve payment of the tax bill.
Motion paid, Judge.
Second.
I have a motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Now, where do I sign it? Right here? Because that's for the clerk. At our last meeting, and I asked, and I think, Misty, you attended this meeting.
Yes.
Maybe, did you go, Wendy, on branding in Marshall County? And we've got our chief hayhirer of the Marshall County Tourism Commission, Randy Newcomb. Randy, I've read through this. I was very impressed. Would you like to just kind of talk to the court and what it's gonna take on our part to make this happen?
Basically what it is for the last 18 years I've wanted this, and people can hear me, and I don't want to be on camera, thank you, Sheriff. But for the last 18 years, this is something I think we've needed. Marshall County right now is basically 6 distinctive areas. We're not seen as one cohesive unit. We're seen as Hardin, Aurora, Calvert, Benton, Dragonville, and the Lakes area. And from a tourism standpoint, when a visitor comes in, they see those differences. They don't see us all working together. From an industry standpoint, same thing. They come in, they're not coming into Marshall County as a whole. They're either coming into Benton, Calvert, Hardin, whatever it may be. Well, one thing this survey will do, this company will come in and they will do a complete audit of Marshall County, what our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats are. And they will basically find out what we as a complete community have that puts us ahead of all other communities throughout the nation. Because to be honest with you, when you look at Marshall County and all the resources we have, pretty much most every community that we compete against has about the same stuff. And as far as industry comes down, I talked to Josh about this, when we're one of the final 3 or 4 communities up for a potential business or industry to come in, they know about our roads already, they know about our water, they know about our workforce, our incentives, they know everything. So we have to find out what makes us unique and makes us different, that would make them choose us over another community. Same way of tourism. Right now, Marshall County has no identity whatsoever outside of Marshall County. And in fact, our identity inside of Marshall County, if I asked 20 different people what they thought it would be 20 different answers. We need to find out what it is because it's going to help me sell to get visitors in to increase our second leading industry, tourism. It's going to help Josh when he goes to sell to business and industry. It's going to help the chamber when they help their businesses. It's going to help the cities when they try to sell themselves to the outside world. But the company will come in and do a 10 to 12 month survey. They will interview as many people as they can within Marshall County, business leaders, industry professionals, normal citizens. But they'll also get a database of all the visitors we've had for as far back as 10, 15 years, and they will interview a sample of those people as well. And one of the cool things about it is they will find out exactly why people come to Marshall County, why they come to Benton, why they go to Calvert by interviews. Give you an example, Bowling Green just had this done, and when they asked the people in Bowling Green what the main thing people came to Bowling Green for, number 1 was the Corvette Museum, number 2 was Western Kentucky University. When they actually did their research, they found out the number 1 reason people went to Bowling Green was Mammoth Cave, and that's not even in Bowling Green. Second was Beach Bend Amusement Park and Drag Strip. Third was Corvette Museum, and Western Kentucky University was either 5th or 6th, I can't remember. So the perceptions locally of what is important and what brings people in was different than what actually brought people to Bowling Green. So they were able to shape their vision, their message of who they were as Bowling Green, Warren County, to what it truly is seen outside. And it's put them a step above other communities. But one of the best things this is going to do is it's going to get us moving forward, because honestly, right now, we're not really moving forward. And we need that one thing to get us going in the right direction. Last summer, we had an issue that came up to try to potentially move the county forward, and the suggestion was there's got to be some other thing we can do and not have to vote in alcohol at the time. Well, this is something we can do. We can come up with a strategic plan, and this does come with a 2 to 3 year strategic plan on how to implement our new vision and strategy. After this process is over, he will give us what he calls a playbook, which is a huge 2 to 3 year plan. It gives us step-by-step instructions on what we can do through tourism, economic development, through all the cities, to put Marshall County where it needs to be. And I also see this as a way that we can kind of bridge the gap between all our local entities, because right now there's not a lot of working together that is seen from all the cities and the county and the areas. I have talked to some of the Benton City Council members as well as the mayor, and they think it's a great idea. Talked to John Warden Calvert, he's for it. Talked to Stacy Brewer of Hardin, and she's very receptive. Of course, I talked to most of the court, and talked to Josh. And I actually spoke to Kata last Friday about it, and they're very receptive about it. So I'm going next Monday to speak to the Hardin City Council, thinking the next Monday, Veterans Day.
Yeah, second Monday. Yeah.
And then on the 18th, I'm going to speak to the full business city council about it. We have talked to Chamber seems to be on board. But I'd like to see this be a group effort where it's not seen as a tourism project or a chamber project or a city of Benton project, so to speak. So I want us all to work together to get this going forward.
And
Cost-
our portion to fund this would be?
The total cost of this project is roughly $58,000, depending on some travel expenses. It could be less than that. It's split into 3 payments. The first payment will be due at the contract signing. The second payment will be due about halfway through the process, while the final payment will be at the very end of the process, approximately 10 months to a year from now. So we would be able to split it over 2 fiscal years.
All right, so let's assume there are 3 cities, the county and the Chamber of Commerce
And tourism.
all go in, that's 6 of us. We're talking $8,000–9,000 apiece.
About 9.
And we can split that, if I understand correctly, we can divide that into 2 fiscal years. In other words,
It would be 2/3 of it would be out of this fiscal year, the final third out of the next
Yeah.
fiscal year. And that's assuming that all the cities come on board.
okay,
And all that you mentioned, we call a first tier group. Then we would have a second tier group of businesses that, if they wanted to help out, and that would be like, if you think of like Barton Board of Realtors, Marshall County School Board, FLW Outdoors, Marshall County Hospital, just other large industries and businesses that could benefit from something like this. Cada, Benton Main Street, places like that.
Wendy, you have any thoughts? You were there.
Well, we spoke with 2 different companies, and this company, the chamber spoke with the first company, and they were much higher, and we really like this company better than the first company we spoke with. And this is a smaller company; they just do like 2 projects at a time, whereas the other company was doing like 11 to 20 projects at a time. So this company, I think, is really helpful to us. I think it would be a great thing.
And actually,
Commissioner Drew, you were there, you were in on the,
I think one of the most interesting aspects of these projects, and both of them had this, but obviously we all liked the second one that we saw a little bit better, but they have a tapestry program. And anybody that buys anything online or all your purchasing habits, and sometimes I've heard people say, hey, I was on a social media site and all of a sudden something I just bought, there's an ad for it right next to it. Well, that's part of tapestry, and they track your buying habits. So what they do is they pull the tapestry for this area. So anyone that's visited, they track those buying habits, and so they're able to tell us where other pockets of similar buying habits are. So if we think that we draw a lot of people from Chicago, if the survey indicates that that's the truth, then they look at similar buying habits of people in similar pockets of areas to Chicago, and they show us where to direct market our county. And that's gonna be extremely helpful, because right now it's just kind of a shot in the dark. We think we know where our people come from, and we think we know where tourism dollars come from, but this actually ties it down to specific areas, and that'd be very helpful.
What they're purchasing.
Yes, when they come.
When they come here, where they're spending their money, what they're buying. And it will also give us an indication of things they're not buying here, and maybe something we could add in the future. Like Josh and I talked about, was it TDA, their survey asked why no one's buying shoes in Marshall County? We don't have a shoe store. Makes sense, right? Well, could be something for us to do. Basically, the research we get is going to be beneficial to us to help us market our county and the message. We can sell one thing that we have unique to everyone, really good. We can't sell everything to everybody, because that's just not going to happen.
Is this something similar to what Grand Rivers did a few
Yes.
years ago?
It's exactly. In fact, the company that did Grand Rivers is the other company that came and presented to us. And the gentleman who owns this company was president of that company for 4 years, and he decided to go out on his own.
Because they flourished over there.
They have,
did.
and Bowling Green just went through theirs. Paducah went through a similar process, I guess about 10 years ago. Most of your communities that are thriving right now are going through this process.
And what's interesting is the gentleman that came down and gave this presentation, just as kind of a filter, he put out on his social media network that he was coming to Marshall County. And he has contacts from around the United States, specifically in this region. And he said, what are your thoughts, if you've ever been there, what do you think of when you think of Marshall County? And 9/10 of the comments were Patty's.
Yep.
Which isn't even in Marshall County. So, but that's interesting because it's a testament to what branding has done for Grand Rivers. It's put them on the map,
And see,
absolutely.
right now, if I go and market Marshall County in magazine, newspaper, radio, whatever it is, nobody's gonna know what Marshall County is. So I have to market an attraction, which is Kentucky Lake. Well, when I market Kentucky Lake, guess what that does for Marshall County? Yeah, it brings a lot of people to Marshall County, but it also affects people in Callaway County to the extra 100+ miles of Kentucky Lake that stretches into Tennessee. So until we find out who we are as a county and I can effectively market us as who we are, I'm basically marketing 186-mile long lake where only the top 40 miles of it is in our county. And it's not really a wise way to spend our money. So it's something we've needed, and I think we need to do it, whether 3 organizations get on board or, it's just something that needs to be done. Because if not, we're just gonna keep spinning our wheels, and 5 years from now, we're gonna look back and say, what can we do to move forward?
Is there a possibility, Randy, of any of that coming back from the state? Is there any sort of a grant program or anything that?
Yes, there is. In a way. Tourist Commission, we qualify, we are involved in the Tourism Marketing Incentives Program. And basically, by us paying into that Tourist Commission, we are allowed to receive, I think next year it's $46,000 in matching funds expense, which comes from the 1% transient tax that the state collects. So I have to spend advertising, and usually it's a 50-50 match, or if I go with the state, it's a 90-10, it's a whole big thing. But this does qualify. So if the Tourist Commission wrote a check this fiscal year for $30,000, the state would in turn, I could come in and I could get $15,000 back.
Okay.
So there is that matching funds
Program.
available. That being said, I have enough advertising already out there spent that I'm not going to get all of that back, so.
Okay.
What, and I don't know if you've had an opportunity to discuss this with Sarah DeVasia, the TVA Valley Relations person. I know they have some funds that are used to, I don't know if they still do, that could be used for marketing for the Valley region. How much, or if any, I don't know. Just something we'll be running across. In fact, I talked to her this morning. I didn't think about discussing this with her, but
One of the things, well, to get it started, we basically need a third of the payment fee. And then that's going to go, well, what Steve said, he said a lot of communities, a lot of this is started by economic development. And like Katy, Texas, and a few others, it's their economic development that actually brought him in.
I think they use Katy, Texas as one of their examples.
And I actually talked to the economic development person from Katy, Texas yesterday. I wanted to get some feedback on what they think. And he said, well, it's too early to tell. And he said, but the main thing that we have benefited so far is the amount of research and information and data that we've received from this. He said, it's worth every single penny we've spent. And he said, and we've got 2 or 3 years worth of planning. And he said, there's so much planning that we can't do it all right now. He said, so this could stretch out 10 years for us because of the amount of information that they can get. And, but he was all for it. Their economic development started this project, and what they saw is after economic development started it, tourism liked it so much they jumped on it. Then their chamber jumped on it. Same thing happened in Bowling Green. Bowling Green started as a tourism project. As it kept going, Chamber jumped on board economic development, then everyone started piling on. And so even if Fiscal Court Tourism and Chamber start this off, I honestly believe that within the next 2 to 3 months, once they see the process moving, I think the cities and other organizations will come on board. But to get going, we need that first third of the payment, which is going to be approximately $19,000. I know the Tourist Commission, hopefully Chamber will be able to come up with a portion of that, and about Fiscal Court as well, and then we can work to get the rest as we go on.
Judge, if I may, we participate with TVA, they've got a marketing, grant program, so to speak, it used to be SKID back in the day. We actually received funds from TVA, and I just sent a message to our regional guy, Marquez, in the city, if this would qualify for those marketing funds. Now, we've got those marketing funds in our port facilities, because we wanted it to be liquid enough that we could use it to market specific sites. And with the recent things going on with the Fleetwood building, it looks as though that's moving toward an auction, so to speak. So I don't think I'm gonna be able to use all those funds this year. So if that's the case, Judge, maybe we can talk with our port authority and use some of those funds, if not all of those funds that we have left to go toward this campaign as a participant outside of the organization.
Because
If you've noticed-
economic development as well.
If you've noticed, Josh has been approached by the Boston Red Sox to play with them.
I'm starting.
I wondered about that. Okay.
We're gonna start on ball team.
It's Prostate Cancer Awareness Month.
Yeah,
You're supposed to grow a beard.
is that right?
Yes.
Oh, is it?
No Shave November.
Yeah, that's one.
Okay, enough of that. I think we ought to buy in, folks. What do y'all think?
I'm all for it. We've talked about it for a couple of years. I think we just need to get going. I think you said it could start in January if we were able to secure the support for the project. Is that right?
If I can sign a contract in December, actually the first 3 to 4 weeks after I sign a contract, it's basically gonna be myself and my assistant. We're gonna be calling and setting up interviews with people all across the county. So expect a call most of
Okay.
it.
Are we gonna wait to hear from the other entities?
Do what?
Are we waiting to hear from the other entities and see what they're?
Well, I think it would be to our, because they need to know, and I think it would be good for us to say, yeah, we're in.
I think we could do
For
what,
our-
up to maybe 6, Judge? Is that what you're thinking? Like, we could make a motion up to 6? Would that be like a third of what you're looking for? Or if you had 4 partners, I guess that's without economic development, so we could,
Yeah, I mean, the first payment, like I said, is gonna be basically around $18,000, because it's $54,250 plus an additional up to $3,500 for travel expenses. So around $18,000 is what the initial payment would be at signing. So if we had an initial allotment from Fiscal Court at 6, then tourism, we could put in 6, the chamber could do 6. And that's if the cities do nothing yet.
Well, I think they will, my judgment. I'd entertain a motion that we do $6,000 for an initial payment for this study. And then if we're successful, the next budget year, we'll budget whatever we like to finish off the payment.
or maybe the other ones could pick up the second portion of it, the other 3, maybe they could each, economic development, City of Calvert, Benton, Hardin, maybe split that up and carry the second payment. Might be an option.
Well, if you get them on board, I mean, it may be that we can do less than that, and but I think we need to just continue to fund it as needed to move
so
it
too.
Yeah, and
forward.
there's, in 6, 7 months, if it comes to the second payment, if we don't get the cities on board, we may have to come back for 1,000 or 2,000, but I'm hoping not. I'm hoping we can secure that funding through other resources.
Terry, you made a
Terry made a
motion?
motion.
Second?
We have a motion and second that we work with our tourism department on the branding of Marshall County. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries.
One
Thanks.
question, he suggested that instead of the money coming from like tourism or whatever, that we either start a 501c3 organization, but I know that takes some time. Do you guys have any other ideas on what we could do. That way, all the money is going into one certain location, and we pay from that. So they're not saying what tourism wrote a check for.
Could we operate
Yeah,
under
that's-
the nonprofit that we do, some of our other organizations that don't need a full 501? Is it like?
Oh, you mean the West Kentucky Foundation?
Can we do that?
We could associate with them.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be a 501c3, but I think if it comes from a non-specific organization, we all
Well,
pay into
why
that.
don't we, once we find out who's willing to participate, create a nonprofit organization to do this?
Jeff, instead of reinventing the wheel, we have Opportunity Marshall Inc., which is a
Right.
nonprofit.
There you go.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I'm on that board, right?
Yeah.
I'm on a few. Actually, never mind my question, I found my answer. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you've received the proposed budget for the North Marshall Water District for the year 2014. Give you a minute to look through it. Looks like the total will be $1,608,820. They break it out into their expenditure columns, what they've done actually this year and what their budget have budgeted.
Didn't he say they were about 180,000 to again?
Have any questions?
Just wanted to say they're doing a good job. Bobby was in here this morning. I think he told us, I was just making sure my numbers were right, that they were about $180,000 to the good, which is good news.
Do I hear a motion to approve?
Make motion.
I have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Emily?
Treasurer's report for the month ending October 31st, 2013. General fund has a book balance of $671,645.25. Road fund, $981,584.22. Jail fund, $120,307.38. Grant fund, $65,2687. 911 fund, $158,618.24. Occupational tax administrator, $1,685,427.07. And the veterans van fund has $3,157.16 for a total of all funds of $3,327,266.19.
Any questions of Emily?
None.
I may hear a motion to approve the treasurer's report subject to audit.
Motion, Judge.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Accounts receivable report.
Our payroll fund is due $408,552.38 as of October 31st from our sheriff's office. And that is, for this time of year, that's substantially less than has been in years past.
And tax collection is going good, Ken? Real good.
Going wonderful.
Good, good, okay.
My staff is glad the discount phase is over with, because
Yeah.
last week was pretty swamped.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve the accounts receivable report?
Motion approved.
I have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. At this time, I'd like to go into executive session to discuss a personnel issue.
Make motion to go into executive session, Judge.
Motion second. Try not to be too long. Call the court back into regular session. We went into executive session to discuss the resignation of one of our employees. I'll just read part of the letter. This is from Melissa McFerrin, our Emergency Management Director. Dear Judge Executive Miller, after much consideration, I hereby submit this letter resigning my position as the Director of the Marshall County Emergency Management as of December 31, 2013. It has been an extreme honor serving Marshall County in this role for the past 5 years and as the Administrative Specialist for the Department for the 5 prior years. Melissa has married. She will be moving to Alabama, and during the interim, she's working part-time and taking her sick days that she's accumulated and her comp time. Our Deputy Director Dwayne Halls and George Connect, along with our Administrative Specialist Darlene Lynn, will continue to provide coverage when Melissa is in Alabama. I have asked the court for permission, and will ask the court to allow me to advertise for this position immediately and hopefully have someone on board by the first of the year when Melissa's time has expired. This is an extremely important position, and a lot of people don't understand the paperwork that has to be done because of the plants at Calvert City and the I'm saying that right, Bob?
Tab Q7,
Tab Q7s that are required at every plant. Bob was telling us they're about that thick for each plant, and that's part of the responsibility of the Emergency Management Director. It's not just responding to a wreck or a fire or a tornado or a disaster. It goes way, way beyond that, but we will advertise if the court gives me permission to do that. So I would ask that you allow me to advertise for this position.
Make that motion, Judge.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any response? Any no? Motion carries. I will get Dwayne and Melissa and George to help us put the proper advertisement in the paper, what we're looking for, what we expect, and that sort of thing. All right, the lighting of the greens that we announced earlier will be on the 18th of November at 4:15. You had an opportunity to review the bills. Do I hear a motion to pay the bills?
Motion to pay the bill.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Our Veterans Day ceremony will be next Monday. I believe it's Monday. Is that correct? Veterans Day? Out at the Veterans Honor Plaza. Judge Bill Cunningham, our Supreme Court judge, will be the keynote speaker. State Representative Will Coursey will be the MC for the program, so hopefully the weather will be nice and everybody will be able to attend. We normally have a real good crowd for our Memorial Day and our Veterans Day ceremony out at the plaza. Will be
What
like
time, Judge? Is it
11th day, 11th month, the 11th
That's
hour. The guns went silent in Europe for the war that would end all wars. Our lights will be turned on in the park the Friday after Thanksgiving. It's fast approaching. The guys, I think, have pretty well got them up. They're tweaking them right now. So we have several million lights that will be turned on in the park. All proceeds again this year will be going to Needline. They are in need of people helping collect canned goods and money. So anybody that would like to volunteer to help, church groups, youth groups, whatever. I think the road department always takes a couple of nights, don't you, Russ?
Yes.
Refuse department takes a couple of nights, and I'm sure that any of you that want to do that, they'd be more than happy to have your help.
As part of that, the Fair Board will be sponsoring a ugly Christmas sweater event. There'll be a walk through the park. when the lights are first open, be the, on, and before the traffic's there, we'll have some different booths, pictures with Santa, what else?
Well, it's gonna be Elf on the Shelf.
Elf on the Shelf. and-
Candy cane station, hot cider and hot chocolate, and actually, it's gonna be a preview of when the lights come on. It's gonna be on the 23rd, I
Right.
believe. So you get a chance to preview the lights prior
It's a
to.
2-mile walk through there, chilly at the end. and
Yeah, chili.
So wear your ugly sweater and come on out.
And I'll have I'll have posters out that'll have that event on it first of next week, so we can put them up all over.
Fun time for the family, so.
And ugly
Who's
sweaters.
sponsoring the hot cider event? That wouldn't be our, distillery here in Marshall County, would it?
I don't know, can we get a special, exemption?
Let Jeff work on whatever it takes.
All right, we can do it.
Hot cider, not the hard cider.
Hot cider, okay.
Oh, there is a difference.
All right, if there's no other business, entertain a motion.
Make a motion.
Have a motion to adjourn, is there a second?
Second.
Meeting adjourned.